What's happening? We live?
Yeah, we're live. Episode 5.
Happy after holiday week, I guess, man. How's the freight moving this week?
Man, it's been busy. I don't know if it's just because nobody was working Monday, but it's yesterday and today have been very busy, which is, I mean, busy's good, right? But also a little stressful, but good.
It's getting into flatbed peak season, man.
Yeah, which I hope so. I mean, we've been pretty steady though. We haven't really experienced I don't know, like a down season. It seems like it's been pretty steady throughout all the craziness of the last year, 18 months or so for us, which is it's been good. How's your Wednesday going?
It's going good, man. Can't complain. It's good weather out in Minnesota. My legs are like jello from running for the first time in years, but I don't really have to move much today, so that's a good sign. But yeah, I'm excited today. It should be fun. I know Connor was on the brokerage side for 4 or 5 years, I believe. He'll tell us before moving over to the shipper side, and yeah, we're keeping kind of the streak alive. I think this is 3 of the last 4 guests. Been on the shipper side now.
Yeah, that's awesome. It'll be interesting to hear his perspectives going from the broker to the shipper role and see kind of how that all plays together. Before we get started, shout out to our sponsors, Sales-CRM. If you guys are in the market for a CRM software, they're a great option. You can follow them on LinkedIn or find Josh Lyles. Hit him up, tell him the dog sent you. Additional shout out to Trio Services for doing our back end stuff. They've been a huge help.
And shout out to Black Box Logistics and HT Ships. If you're looking to be a W-2, talk to Will. If you're looking to go the agent route, shoot me a DM.
Yeah, and you've got to be willing to come to the Magic City, Birmingham, Alabama. It's about 95 degrees over here right now, so good stuff. Let's say we'll add Connor to the stage here and let him introduce himself.
Yeah, let's do it.
Connor, how are we doing?
How's it going, fellas? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man.
Thanks for joining us.
How about you just tell us a little bit about your background? Matt kind of hit on it a little bit. From my understanding, you were on the brokerage side for a while, and now you're working as a shipper. Just give us a little bit of background on you and what you're currently doing and how it kind of all works together.
Yeah, so I first got my feet wet with the logistics in college. I went to a military college, and after my sophomore year of college, I jumped into helping run operations for the Corps of Cadets. Big Army program, 750 cadets. Obviously, somebody's got to help manage logistics for them. So I stepped into the operations shop and really helped control the day-to-day stuff there. That was my first taste of it, and I was absolutely hooked from there. The problem solving, the planning, daily execution stuff, I really enjoyed it. It's like a big puzzle, and you're just trying to put it together. After college, I figured I wanted to do something in logistics. I didn't really know what. I had no idea what freight brokering was, what trucking was, or anything like that. I got referred to my previous employer, Jear Logistics, by my aunt. Her family actually knew the VP of sales there. So I kind of got thrown into the fire there. That's how it really is with brokering to start. I didn't really know anything about it. I just knew it was fun. Super fast paced, talking to drivers, getting to really meet a lot of people that I probably wouldn't normally interact with on a typical day. And I was hooked. The grind of it, it sucks. It can beat you into the ground, but I'm telling you, the days that you have good days, you make a lot of money, you service your customer really well. There's nothing really quite like that. So I did that for a little over 4 years. I always knew that I wanted to end up on the shipper side. The money was great. Brokering, you can't really beat it. But for me, it was more about the process. Customer service can only get you so far as a broker. I wanted to ultimately put myself in the position of the shipper and have more of a direct impact on helping shape the customer experience. So I kind of always knew I was going to end up as a shipper somewhere. I got the opportunity to come join SuperSod at the end of October, and it's really been awesome ever since. So it's my quick little run through.
Yeah, man,
Nice.
that's interesting. It's funny to hear you say that because I mean, like me personally, like I have no desire to be a shipper. It sounds awesome, like really and truly, but it's really cool. You get that experience, logistics, military college, and you work as a broker. So I'm sure that's helped really kind of shape you in your role today. Can you tell us a little bit about how kind of the brokerage experience plays into how you're handling the operations as a shipper to kind of shape that experience that you're referring to?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, just the work ethic that you have to have as a broker, especially if you have big accounts. It's, people say 24/7. It is 24/7 if you want to be successful. All of my brokers that I work with now laugh about it because they say whenever we call you or whenever we text you, you immediately answer. Well, that was beaten into me for so many years. That's how you're successful. I think another thing, you know, being a broker helps me interact with my brokers. I know what they need to be successful. I know what questions they need to ask in order to be successful. So I think really helping to foster that relationship not just helps them, but it helps me as well. Um, Setting clear expectations with communication, transparency. Those are, I mean, it really, the more I help them, the more it ultimately helps me. So.
Oh, definitely. And kind of backing up a little bit, are you guys, you guys are doing seed, right? So, I mean, are you guys primarily dry van, I'm assuming, or several different modes? You guys do a lot of intermodal. What's kind of, kind of tell us a little bit about, the company you're at.
Yeah, so Patent Seed Company is our parent company. We go by SuperSod. So
Okay.
we actually are a sod company. We have farms all throughout the Southeast, Georgia, Alabama, the Carolinas, Tennessee. So we cut to order and we ship sod from our farms to our retail stores. From there, we put it on our own company trucks and deliver out to the customer. That's half of our business. The other half of our business is our compost soil business. So in the same sense, we have our big compost soil plants down in South Georgia. That's really what I handle and have the day-to-day execution of is I get that soil from our compost plant to our retail stores from which the customer can either pick up or we can ship it out on our own trucks. So.
Nice.
So having experience.
All flatbed. And it's funny. I get people reach out, they just hear patent seed and they think seed and dry van or intermodal. It's just, nope, just flatbeds. So.
Cool. Yeah. So having experienced both, I know that you said that you kind of always wanted to end up on the shipper side. Now that you're actually in a shipper position, do you prefer that over the broker role?
There's definitely things I miss. Obviously you miss the money. You miss, it's like what do they say? Stockholm syndrome almost. Like I miss the bad parts of brokering just as much as I miss the good parts. It's like you have a really tough season in football. You miss all those moments that brought you together and made you ultimately have that season. Yeah, I mean, I miss that. There's definitely things that I don't miss. I don't miss really being on call at all times and being woken up at 3:00 in the morning to deal with problems. So yeah, there's some things I miss, some things I don't. I had zero flatbed experience. I think I'd moved one load on a flatbed in all the years of brokering. And I honestly, I just had a good driver because I didn't ask any questions about if it needs to be tarped or anything like that. He just did it all for me. So I think now in this role, it's funny that that's all I do. So I've definitely learned a lot.
Yeah.
You get questions like, can you load step decks?
I was like, in the beginning, I was like, I don't even know what that is. Let me run a quick Google search and see what that is. But yeah, it's funny.
How are the problems on the shipper side? I know we were just talking kind of before the show. It's a crazy week, with Memorial Day. How is it kind of with the stress? I mean, obviously you probably answer to sales reps there or a manager, and a shipment's going wrong. How is that kind of stress on that side of things for you?
Yeah, it's a whole different set of problems. As a broker, there's a lot of problems that are out of your control. Just things you can't affect. The driver does whatever he wants or something's late. It's not really your control a lot of the time. Here in the shipper seat, there's a lot of things that are in my control. Managing inventory levels, What do I do when I'm supposed to get this product out to this place, but we run out? Like, what do I do there? How can I make sure that all of our stores have healthy inventory levels? So it's a lot more problems that I have control over, which is good because I'm very OCD and it ends up working in my favor. But for a lot of people, I'm sure it can be a lot to handle.
Do you ever get any strange like cancellation reasons? Do you ever just somebody cancels a load or they have to give it back or something? They're just like, hey, like this is going on or that. Do you ever get anything that you're just like, there's no way this is real? 'Cause, I mean, just for me today, this morning, I got an email from a guy, and I'm just like reading. I was like, there's no way that's true, but I can't call you out on it because it's just so outlandish. So it's just like, whatever, I'll move on.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw Matt's post last week.
That's why I was laughing.
Those were two of my brokers. And, I'm fortunate, our product, not the sod is very time sensitive, but the soil, there's flexibility with it. So, unless I tell you before you take the shipment, hey, this has got to pick up today and deliver tomorrow, like me yelling at you about your driver that got shot in 2019 and has to go to court tomorrow.
Just back a little bit. Those that missed Matt's post, will you kind of just give us a rundown? Yeah. So from my understanding, Connor had sent some screenshots to Matt about some cancellations or something.
So I had they both happened. I think one happened on Tuesday, one happened on Wednesday, and then they both ended up picking up the very next day. But one of my brokers said that the driver that was supposed to take the load got hit by a car, so he had to pick up the next day. I said, hey, I guess that's excused. Like that'll fly. And they picked up the next day. It was fine, and it was their regular carrier too. So. Like I said, I don't expect, I'm not going to freak out over that.
He actually got hit by a car.
Who knows? I'm not going to call somebody out on it and say, hey, send me proof or whatever.
Send me a picture.
Yeah. So the second one actually was true. So the carrier that the broker was using actually hauls directly for us too. He had been hauling for us for a couple of years. And he said he can't pick up today. He can pick up tomorrow, but he can't pick up today because he got shot in the foot in 2019 and he has to go to court tomorrow. I laughed at it. And then I told one of our transportation managers about it. I said, hey, X carrier, this is what happened. He said, oh, no, that's true. I met the guy back then right after it happened. So it's actually a true story.
Yeah, that's crazy. Just the only in logistics, right?
Right. Yeah. But I even if it was made up, I'd much rather hear that than, oh, hey, they got stuck at their prior delivery. So at least let me have some fun with it. So I got a good laugh at both of those.
Do you you said you ship from a lot of farms, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that was interesting because I failed at the shipper. I tried it for 3 months, and I just curious your thoughts on this because we ship from a lot of farms too. I was working for an agriculture company. It was always interesting. There'd be an excuse, 2 days ahead, we're good for this. And the day of, there's no trucks because it's a remote area. And I'm like, well, I mean, I think you can always buy capacity. There might just not be enough money into it. So I'm kind of curious if it was kind of a eye-opening for you, and just kind of dealing with farmers too was much different than dealing with, as a broker, I didn't really deal with farmers much. Dealing more with bigger facilities, so it can kind of be interesting dealing with farmers sometimes.
No, we're lucky. So we own all of our farms.
Okay.
And it is nice. We have our own fleet as well. So we're never truly out of options. We can hit our capacity, and that's that at that point is when we, outsource stuff to other brokers or asset carriers, but we never truly have no trucks. We always are going to have at least our company fleet as the backup. And then our farms are, they're not necessarily out in the middle of nowhere. The Southeast is a pretty strong area for flatbed in terms of capacity. So I feel like we're always relatively at a good point. But yeah, there was a lot to learn in terms of, taking product off a farm for me when I started. All of our trucks are agriculturally exempt. So, we don't have to run e-logs, but we do have to stay, MAP 21, stay within your 150-mile radius. That was new to me. So, yeah, there's a lot to learn. weather, rain can absolutely destroy us. Especially moving sod. Sod gets wet, that might put us down for 2 days. So a lot of things to balance.
Oh, that's interesting, balancing having your own fleet too, and brokered freight and asset freight. That balance has got to be interesting too, to manage and keep track of how many drivers you have this day, how many assets, how many brokered loads, and putting it all together.
Mm-hmm. It's definitely tough sometimes to stay organized with it. Luckily, I have good transportation managers that we each kind of own a different piece of the pie. My piece being, that soil part, but the other transportation managers will handle, more of the sod. We're also really lucky. We've been around for 60, 70 years. So we have already a lot of really strong relationships with local, very small asset carriers, 1 to 5 trucks that live right next to our farms. So they essentially will dedicate their equipment as an extension of our fleet. So we're really fortunate there. So
how many brokers do you work with actively?
So I work with 3. Before February, we worked with 1. That's in February is when I came on and started helping out with this soil business. We kind of felt like we were pigeonholed. Just having 1 broker, I didn't want to back us into a corner, as we get ready for the peak season in the summer with rates or capacity or whatever. So I brought on another broker. And then probably about a month ago, I brought in another broker. We were just starting to feel some capacity strain. So I brought in our 3rd one.
Cool. So when you're going about adding these brokers, what does your process look like? Are you kind of like leveraging connections you had previously in the brokerage space, or do you take cold calls and do you entertain them, emails? Have you onboarded anybody that way?
Yeah. So I think really it's what was I looking for? What did I need? Back in February, I actually reached out to C.H. Robinson. I reached out to them. They didn't reach out to me because I needed capacity. And who's got more capacity than C.H. Robinson? Probably nobody. I entertain I read every single email that's sent to me. I don't necessarily respond to it. I'd say probably 50% of them I don't respond to. The ones that I do respond, most of them I just say, hey, we're good. It is a big process adding brokers, especially for me. I like to keep my circle small. And then a lot of these, cold outreaches, whether it be email or phone, it's just not very good pitches. It's just you're selling the cheapest price, which isn't necessarily important to me, or you're just selling me something that I'm not interested in at all.
So yeah, that's interesting that you say that. So it sounds like you value service over pricing. I'm sure pricing plays a small part in that, right? But it sounds like you're willing to maybe like pay what you need to pay to ensure that the service is there. When I think of, so we move some agricultural stuff like some hay, and that's like a pretty price-driven market, right? Like it's pretty cutthroat. It is what it is. That said, like we always get last look with the people that we work with. It's just kind of like, hey, we have to be at this number for our margins to make sense. So I don't know, for whatever reason, I would think that sod would be similar to that. So that's pretty interesting or like neat to hear that you're kind of keeping a closed circle and not, I don't know, man, when I think of that kind of company, I think of like a lot of like bid list and just like, let's get the lowest number for whatever reason.
Very rarely do I actually award to the lowest bid. Yeah, price is important. I have a boss. My boss has a boss. I can't just be, I have to be, financially responsible with how I spend the company's money. We move 15,000 loads a year, not on our company trucks, whether that be with our local assets or with brokers. I can't pay, $500 extra on 15,000 loads.
Oh, Connor, you're about to get blown up.
Yeah, now you said that, you're
15,000 loads. We should have warned you. We should have warned you before the show.
But at the same time, yeah, price is important, but you know what? I've tried it before. It didn't last very long, always going with the cheapest, because then my freight just sits there. Yeah. So you have to find a balance of, a good fair rate, and also I need my stuff to move. I think one thing that helped me from brokering is I realized that, being a cheap shipper, it doesn't necessarily work. If I want the service that I'm asking for as a shipper, my brokers have to make money, or else I'm not going to get the resources from them that I need. How can I ask you to have, an account rep, 2 coverage guys, and a guy that does updates if you're making $10 a load on me? Like, it's not going to work. So I think, having the understanding that, we all have to eat a little bit. At the same time, I'm running, business, and I have to make smart decisions for my company, but it's a balance, like I said.
Did you see the opposite too? We had a shipper on a while back when I was doing the show with Alex, and she said when she got into her role, they only had one broker, and that broker was taking advantage of the fact that they were only having one broker and making 40-50%, and she immediately got rid of that broker. Did you kind of walk into that type of problem as well, or were you getting fair rates when you
No, the broker that we were working with for a while, or that we were working with already, they had been doing business with us for a couple of years. So I came in and immediately I price checked them. They were, maybe a little bit higher than I would have liked, but they weren't making egregious money off of us. If they were, I absolutely would have kicked them to the curb and never given them any loads again. But, I think a lot of brokers think that shippers just have their head in the sand. And I'm sure there are some that do and have no idea what's going on. But there are a lot of shippers that, like myself, that read FreightWaves, that read LinkedIn and get their information, that have access to DAT and RateView. I can see the same stuff you're seeing. So there are shippers know a lot more than you think.
So with all that being said, in your position, your role now, having worked as a broker, now being a shipper, what are you comfortable with your brokers making per load? Do you have like a percentage or like a number? What's the point where you would look at a number and be like, this is a little ridiculous, or cut somebody off?
I don't know if there's a set number, and I can tell at the rates I'm at now, I can tell who's making money and who's not, because if something sits on the board for a week on my update sheet and doesn't get covered, then I know they're probably struggling on the rate.
Hey, do you ever search them? Do you ever look at the loads? If you have access to DAT, like see their postings or what they're trying to sell?
I don't have direct access to it anymore, but I have some buddies of mine that own a trucking company that I've had do a load search before to see what these are posted up at.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say 10%, 20%. Like I said, I want you to make money too. The more money you make on our loads, the more resources I'm going to get, like I said. But at the same time, I have to be smart about it. One thing, being a shipper right now, I have people, I probably get 10 emails a day of people reaching out to me. Sometimes I'll send, hey, give me a rate on this. So if I'm getting something, $500-$600 cheaper than what I'm paying right now, then I might have to have a conversation with you about, hey, why am I paying you $600 more than what I'm being quoted now?
Yeah.
I check periodically.
Yeah, it's kind of difficult too. I would agree with you of coming up with a percent, because you may have, 20% on a local run is far less money than 10% on a cross country run. Also, what's the urgency on that? How last minute? I think there's just too many factors to put what is too much and what is, if you're getting freight, 3 months in advance, that's easy, one pick, one drop. I think it's a lesser percent than maybe something on 4 hours notice, that has to move. There's big consequences. So,
yeah, I would say I don't think about the margins too much. If I'm happy with your rate, then I'm happy with your rate. I don't care if you're making, $50 or $500. If your rate is good to me, then your rate is good to me. You might just have a really cheap carrier running them for you. Yeah. But as long as your rate is in line on what I'm getting quoted from everybody else, give or take, a little bit, then I'm cool with it.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. Or go ahead, Matt.
No, you go ahead. I was gonna go into LinkedIn outreach and some of these emails. So you go, because you're probably gonna go into you were probably staying on this topic. So you go first.
Yeah, just one final question. Just the way that you described and the way that I've seen it play out with like my guys out there, like in our little boiler room. it's kind of like a fine dance, right? So like if you do get price checks, say your broker's whatever, you're happy with their number, new guy comes in, he's $600 less. And we know that the load's not coverable $600 less. And they're always really paranoid. They're like, man, I got to match them, lose the business. Like, man, let them have it. Do you ever run into that? Somebody comes in super low and you're like, hell, like I'm going to give him a shot. He's $600 less. And it's just a paper rate.
No, because I can see right through that. So
you don't give them the shot. You don't give them the load.
No. I've been in their shoes. I know that people do that. Hey, I'm going to come in super low, get my foot in the door, lose money on the first 10 loads, and then I'm there. That doesn't work for me. There is such thing as too low of a rate. I have had brokers come in and try to do everything. Hey, whatever you're paying now, we'll do $100 lower.
Yeah.
I think my rates right now are healthy enough where, they can still cover them and I'm not getting killed on them. So, I have no need to really shop them really.
Yeah, that makes sense. Just final question, Matt. You can go with whatever you're going to bring up about LinkedIn. But yeah, RIP to your inbox. You're going to get blown up.
That's fine. Yeah. I'll look at them all and I'll critique all of the pitches. It's all good.
That's what I was about to ask. I mean, I think we've asked every shipper so far. I mean, what % of your inbox via LinkedIn, via email, is kind of spray and pray versus a personalized, message? What % would you say each way?
I'd say probably 75, 80% of it is just spray and pray. And I came up with a little list of what works and what does not work when you reach out to a shipper. So I figure this can help out some of the brokers that are listening here. Oh, yeah. So the first thing I said, be more than just the cheapest carrier. Bring me value. It's not 2020 post-COVID anymore. Rates are at the bottom of the barrel. Everybody has cheap trucks. So why should I give you my business over XYZ that just emailed me also? The second one, if you're a broker, don't try to convince me that you're asset-based. I have access to Safer. I have access to Carrier 411. I can find out if you have your own trucks or not. So I think a lot of people try playing off that, we work with a bunch of owner-operators that rely on us for loads. That doesn't. You're still a broker. You don't own the truck. At the end of the day, you don't tell those drivers what load they're taking. So
full phone truck.
Yeah. So see, Will has his own trucks.
Yeah. You got about 500 of them in the closet.
The third thing, and I think this is the most important for me, if you're sending an email to a shipper or to a prospect, make sure your grammar and punctuation is squared away. That is very important for me. I want to do business with intelligent people. If there's misspellings and punctuation errors riddled throughout the entire email, I don't want you handling my freight because it either makes me think, A, you're unintelligent, or B, you don't have very good attention to detail. And that's very important. Obviously, attention to detail is one of the most important things to being a broker. And then I said, do your research. It shows, A, you value my business, and 2, you're not just doing the spray and pray method. The internet is a very, very big place. If you can't find any information about my company, then you probably shouldn't be doing business with me. If you can't find information on a shipper, you should probably steer clear of them. Even if you're wrong, like you said, Matt, earlier, you guys probably move a lot of seed and do dry vans or intermodal. That's okay that you're wrong. You tried. You made an attempt. Mm-hmm. Don't sell me on, my international exports and tell me that you have all kinds of food grade reefers and all that. That doesn't matter to me. So do a little bit of research, try to figure out what I do, where I ship my products, where I get them from. That's going to get you a lot farther than just a spray and pray.
That's awesome. I really appreciate that you made a list. That's going to be super valuable for anybody that's tuned in or anybody that listens back. That's some good stuff. My favorite one of that was just the grammar. I see it all the time. I walk around to my people, like I'll read an email, I say, what are you doing? It's 2024. Like there's so many tools that you could use to just kind of check your email. Or man, if there's a red line under the word, like maybe we should figure out how to spell it. It's just little things that go such a long way, or it's just the barrier to entry, right? It's just a small thing that you can do. But yeah, that's like my pet peeve, I believe, is the grammar.
It's also my pet peeve. Those ones immediately go into the deleted folder. I'll read it, half of it, and then it'll get tossed out. So
what's your take on the way an email's formatted? Like, do you ever open up an email and it's just a super long run-on paragraph and you're like, man, that's hard on the eyes, I'm not even going to read it?
Yeah, I'll still read it. You know, there is such thing as too long of an email, especially on your first reach. I'll still read it. That's not really a turnoff for me. A turnoff for me is bolding, highlighting, underlining words that don't need to be underlined. Matt and I were talking about this the other day. Those ones immediately get sent to the trash. Telling me you give me the best rates and then you just highlight rates and you bold it. And if I'm blind copied, that's probably immediately going to the trash also. And most of those emails are all the same.
Yeah.
Are you seeing those come from, what I saw, a lot of those with the highlight, bold, underline were coming from people overseas. They might claim they have a U.S. address in their signature, but I'd look up the company, it would tell me it's based in India. So, I mean, that's what I was seeing. And I didn't realize how, maybe it was because we did a lot of international business, but I felt like a lot of the outreach was coming internationally, which was interesting to me.
Some of them are. A lot of the ones I've seen have been, California, out west. I do my research on everybody that I potentially do business with. If you have a website in your email signature, I'm going to your website. I'm seeing what you're doing. I have had people email me with a link to their website. I click on it and the website does not exist. So there's definitely, some shady people that will reach out.
If anyone has any questions too, I know it looks like we have, 27, 28 people in here, but it's been quiet. Everyone's all recovering from the holiday. So if anyone has any questions, throw it in the comments.
Do you ever get anybody? You're talking about like these copy and paste emails, right? Do you ever get some that are selling you services that make no sense? Like you can tell it's copy, like talking about reefers per se, and then you just kind of read, just like, well, it doesn't make any sense.
I not necessarily that don't make sense. I've had I get AI generated emails all the time.
Yeah.
And those ones are the worst, man, because I think they just rip information about your company from Google or something, and then they throw it all together with some similar companies that they claim they work with, and those ones are bad. But I wouldn't say anything that doesn't make sense. A lot of just stuff that I don't need. Love the Vic Jersey well. I do love the Vic Jersey well. I'm actually from Atlanta, so I got to get me one of those.
Man, it's actually crazy. I didn't really intend. I did. So I went to my gym had a silent auction, and I was the first one in there. They had just set everything up. So, I'm going around placing the minimum bid on like 8, 9 things, thinking, I'm not going to win them all. I might win 1 or 2. Get a call like 4 days later, like, hey, you won like 11 items. So we got a Vic jersey. I've got a John Daly thing over here. You can kind of see. I just have these random jerseys all over my house now. So, I guess it worked out. But
I'm taking it.
Yeah, works, I guess. It's pretty interesting to see how you kind of leverage the broker role to become a more well-rounded shipper. It seems like you got a good understanding of the way things work. You probably protect yourself and save yourself a lot of headaches as opposed to somebody who hasn't seen it from the brokerage side. So as far as when you're setting up your shipments, do you do any kind of annual RFQs, or is it mostly on a spot basis? What does that look like?
So that was one thing that I wanted to implement when I came in. I tried rolling one out for Q2, but I got into it too late. So we just kept, from there, we'll look at rates. We were looking at rates every couple months. If the broker started having an issue covering loads, then, we'd have a discussion about it. Or if, we were getting a lot of solicitation about certain lanes, we would have a conversation with it. I actually just rolled out my first RFP last week. So I've got my brokers working on it right now. I think I sent it out to maybe 10 brokerages, 8 to 10 brokerages. So we'll see, we'll see what that's going to look like. But yeah.
Well, we got a comment here. What does a good email look like from your point of view?
I would say, make an introduction, keep it short, make an introduction, tell me, who you are, who you're with, what you specialize in. You can't say, oh, I'm good at everything. I ship everything everywhere. When I was brokering, I did a lot of produce, reefers, produce. So if I was saying what I specialized in, I'd say cross-country produce. Wherever it's tight, that's where I'm good at. Tell me what you're good at, what you specialize in. And then just say, hey, keep me in mind if you have anything coming up, or, hey, if you have some time next week, I'd love to, learn about where you're possibly needing some help. Don't send me a calendar invite to book myself on your calendar, or what's it, Calendly or something?
Yeah.
I'm not going to book myself on your calendar. That's a pet peeve of mine. Don't send me, your big customer packet and all your references and your W-9 and your credit application. I'm going to do that on my own time. Like I said, I do research on everybody I potentially do business with. We're going to take this conversation at my pace. I don't want to have a meeting with your sales manager later that day. We're going to take it at my pace. If, I'm interested in what you're potentially offering me, I'll reach out to set up a meeting.
So, did you see Richard Walker's post on that a couple months back, talking about the exact same thing, just throwing yourself on someone's calendar?
Oh, yeah, probably. I hate that. I'm never going to do it. I like to see what the success rate on that actually is. Probably
less than 1%, I'd imagine.
I think, but
0% maybe.
I guess all it takes is one. So
yeah. So we're gonna work through all these comments, guys. But I had a quick question. I'd seen a few posts about this as of late. Do you listen to your voicemail? When a broker leaves you a voicemail, do you ever respond or reach back out to them?
It's funny. So I have a work phone and a personal phone. All of my brokers that I currently do business with now have my personal phone, and that's what I primarily communicate on during work. They can text me, they can call me whenever. I'll answer every single time. My work phone, I screen those calls for sure. I get some voicemails sometimes. I listen to them. If not right away. A lot of the times, if I'm not answering it, I'll either be on the other line or I have a legitimate reason. I don't just choose not to answer it. But I'll go back and listen to it. And if I need to, a lot of the time those voicemails are coming following an email, so I'll just respond to the email.
Cool. We got another comment here. It says, put it on the screen, if someone sends an email with bullet points, what are those points that are important to you?
I guess you're talking about like an initial outreach.
Yeah, I would assume that this is one of those emails that somebody's trying to solicit your business. They're trying to keep it short, concise, but maybe give a few bullet points of why you would want to work with them, something like that. That would be attractive to a shipper.
Yeah, so I would say, like I said, I bullet point, how long your company's been in business, I think is an important thing. I'm probably not going to give a bunch of business to somebody that's been in business for less than a year. I know at that point, it's probably going to be pretty difficult for you to get factoring companies to accept you. So I'd like to see companies that have been around for a while. Hey, this is Jacqueline with ABC Logistics. We've been in business since 1986. What you specialize in, both equipment type and areas of the country geographically. Those are the two main things for me that I'd like to see.
Cool. We got another comment here from Rob, kind of pivoting to a different side of things. As a shipper, do you deal with fraud very often, and how do you guys handle it when it happens?
That's a good one.
Not since I've been in this role, I haven't had any fraud. Maybe that's just the flatbed business and what products we make. All of our stuff is not very expensive. A full truck for us is less than $10,000. We have some fraud that is attempted fraud, people calling in to place a sale. But in terms of my actual freight and transporting it, not really. And I know the brokers that I use they all implement highway, and they've done a good job combating fraud. So shout out to them. They know who they are.
Yeah. So this one's I'm about to put it up, but I feel like this is gonna be a tough one to answer. It's gonna be very dependent on who's answering it. Right? I actually just read a book where it's talking about this comment. As a shipper, what are the best days and times to receive emails? That it's kind of a just toss up, right? Or you can explain how you see it.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think no time is a good time for me to get an email. But it's all about timing, really. Like I've told people, no, we're good right now, and then the next week things could change, and I could have a really tough time covering something. Or I had a guy from Echo reach out maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago and was like, gave me the whole spiel, and I said, hey, we're good right now. Thanks. Check back in the summer. Just gave him the generic spiel, and then he reached out to me maybe a week ago, and it was timing at that point. I said, hey man, I forget his name. Just call him Kyle. Hey Kyle, I actually just sent out our RFP this morning. Thanks for reminding me. Here, I'll send it to you also. So a lot of it is timing. I don't want to get an email on Monday morning. I have too much going on catching up from the weekend. I also don't want to get an email after 12 o'clock on Friday. I'm already thinking about the weekend. I would say the best time for me to get an email is probably Wednesday or Thursday.
I'm sure that you'll be getting some emails Wednesday and Thursday.
Yeah, today's Wednesday, so
yeah. Everybody loves some good Outlook emails.
But yeah, your answer, it's never a good time to get an email.
Yeah. All right. We got another comment here from Christina. You mentioned you do research on everyone that you potentially do business with. What do you look for in your research?
Yeah, good question. Definitely, like I said, I want to see a company that's been around for a while. I'm not going to be too keen to do business with somebody that's been in business for a year. It's going to be difficult for you to service my loads, especially with the significant volume I have. It's going to be too difficult. Maybe prove me wrong. Maybe, I don't know, but I like to see a company that's been in business a while. Obviously, an asset-based company is always going to be preferred. So I'll go on your website, check out if you have assets, where your terminals are at, how many power units you have. I'll look you up on Safer and see how many power units you have. Your website, if it says where you typically run, that's great. So yeah, just the generic. I'm looking on more information about your company, who you are, where you operate, stuff like that.
Cool.
Another thing we haven't brought up, and I'm kind of curious your take on this, coming from the broker side too, and is technology. I mean, are you being pitched technology a lot by brokers? Do you think that's effective? Are some of your brokers using AI pricing right now, or do you not have any idea if they're using AI pricing? Are you more concerned with your tech? I mean, just kind of, give us your general takes on, kind of where technology, AI, automation, is kind of going in from a, sales perspective.
Yeah. I had mentioned C.H. Robinson being somebody I brought on back in February. I enjoy their tech. They have very good reporting. Visibility of shipments is good. I read an article that they're going to start using AI for spot quotes. I don't think I've gotten one of those yet, which is fine. Tech is it's not super important for me. We are very, very old school the way we run our business. We don't have a fancy TMS or EDI integration capability, anything like that. So that's not as important to me. I know for some shippers it is, but for me it's more about the people that you have on your team, your personality. I want something that's important for me is I want you to like doing business with me, because if you like me and I like you, you're going to work harder to service my loads. So that's one thing that I really focus on as a shipper is, it goes both ways. When you're brokering, they teach you, hey, build a personal relationship with your customer. I like to do the same thing with my brokers. If I have a personal relationship with them, they're going to bust their butts getting my loads covered. So
yeah. And as far as the tech stack, So Blackbox, we do automate some pricing, but we don't use any AI. So AI and automation, two different concepts. You can combine them with intelligent automation, but the majority of the pricing that you see is automated. It's not AI. So say it might be connected to like a DAT 3-day spot average, and then you've got rules for it to follow to come up with the price. Intelligent automation might be mixing in maybe truck to load ratio and then it making human-based decisions, right? So the majority of the pricing that we see is automated, and it would be unlikely, Connor. So like if I were to approach you, I probably wouldn't bring up if I'm automating pricing. I probably just wouldn't mention it. Just my 2 cents on the automation versus AI aspect.
There's got to be a way to know though, right? Because the shipper we had on last week, Mark, said that 2 top 20 brokerages tried it, they knew it, and they kicked them out. Or maybe that was AI, not automation.
So from my experience, and I've told all of my brokers this. Well, they actually told me first. The brokerage that has been working with us for a while, they said, because I came in, I looked at DAT for all of our lanes, and I said, "Wow, this seems a little high." But they said, "Don't try and source carriers or book trucks off of DAT. It's not going to work. It might work for a week, but as soon as it gets tight, you're going to be very unsuccessful." At least for my load specifically, you need to work on sourcing carriers, building those relationships, and establishing your carrier network from there. If you're just going to throw every single load on DAT, I promise you it's not going to work.
Yeah. So for your operation, it sounds like maybe you most likely have certain locations that you're shipping out of regularly, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that enables you and your brokers to kind of build those relationships, which is going to be a much more sustainable way to source the trucks as opposed to throwing it on DAT, which is kind of cool. I'm sure that you've seen it with your brokers that you've been working with for a while. You see the same trucks maybe coming and leaving.
Yeah, so that's I'll interrupt you real quick. That's one thing that so I mentioned we're very old school. So like my updates with them, it's an Excel spreadsheet, like a OneDrive. And I put in, here's my PO, here's your pro number, here's which picking up, here's where it's going, here's the rate. And then I put carrier name. Because I like to see, does this person have, they have 20 loads going to the same place. Are 15 of them, different carriers? Or is that 3 or 4 carriers taking all of those? That's important to me. Yeah. The drivers and the carriers that come in and pick up the same loads, they're going to know your facilities. They're going to know, hey, this is kind of the loading crew takes a break from 12 to 1. Why get there at 11:45? Like I might as well just go sit at a truck stop until 1 o'clock. Like they are going to do a lot better job than Joe Schmo from DAT. Yeah. So that's one thing I actually ask for is I say, put the carrier name, and I pay attention to that.
Yeah. Then past that, do you ever look at the carriers that they're actually sourcing, maybe through Safer or whatever, look at their safety scores and see what kind of quality carrier is this broker working with, or are they loading just anybody, brand new authority? Do you take it that far?
I do.
Yeah.
I'm kind of a psycho. I look at everything. I'm never going to call your carrier, but I'll look them up on Safer. I'll look them up on Carrier 411. I'll look up. I'll know a lot about them. I'll go to their website. So yeah, for sure.
How frustrating is the Excel thing? So like I said, I tried the shipper side for a couple months, and Excel drove me crazy coming from, brokerage side where we have a TMS and like we were trying to do everything on Excel, inventory, purchase contracts, sales contracts, figuring out product. I despised Excel. So it sounds like you had the opposite. You enjoy Excel, or do you rather have a TMS?
So, coming from a brokerage, we had a great TMS. It was very user-friendly. It was one that we had developed ourselves, so it was great. We have all right here at SuperSod. We have, we have Tableau, and we have ways to track our inventory, not on Excel. But in terms of like logistics, we have kind of one routing software that we use for our company trucks, and then our assets, our asset carriers, they're plugged into our routing system as well. But for the brokers, there's not really a system for them. So it can get kind of frustrating with Excel trying to keep track of all of them. But it was definitely an adjustment. But I've learned to deal with it.
Do you get tracking from any of your brokers on certain loads? Say it's a hot shipment, you request visibility to say like a macro point link or maybe the driver's ELD, or does that ever happen?
Yeah. So one of the brokers, they're a broker asset. They have tracking capability if an asset takes it, like if one of their trucks takes it, then I can see it that way. My two other brokers, they both have tracking capabilities. So I can just go plug in a PO and see where it is or where it pinged the last time it pinged. But I know all of them. If I asked, hey, send me macro point updates every 15 minutes to my email, they would do it. But like I said, with the products I move, it's very rarely am I in a situation where I need to be updated on something, every 15 minutes. It's a lot of flexibility.
Yeah, that makes sense.
How are you seeing a lot of people with frustration with the market? I mean, people being a little bit more, on edge with sales outreach, sales emails, or LinkedIn.
Like hard selling.
I've had a ship. Oh,
I was just interjecting just a phrase like a hard sell, like it's like very aggressive selling techniques.
Yeah.
That's kind of what you're describing.
Or being kind of rude in a sense, even.
No, I have not. I think I would probably shut that down pretty quick, or I would just ignore it. So no, I'm lucky. I guess I'm lucky. I haven't really had that to deal with. I've had some sales reps be a little pushy, but like I said, we're gonna do this dance at my pace. So, I'm gonna do my research on you. When I'm ready to talk, we're gonna talk. I don't care how many times you email me. I'll delete every single one, or I'll send you to my work voicemail every single time. So we're gonna do this at my pace.
Yeah.
Have you had any show up at your facility yet? Any just show up unannounced?
No. We had a broker show up to one of our farms like 2 weeks ago, and talked to one of our transportation managers, and he's actually getting onboarded. I guess he liked our transportation manager, liked what he had to say, but I haven't had anybody try to come visit me.
So if you want Connor's business, you guys, that's how it works. Just go track him down.
Yeah.
Well, also, I mean, we're approaching the hour. Matt, did you have anything else for Connor? Connor, you've been a great guest, man. I really appreciate
I appreciate you guys having me. Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, taking the time to make that list. That's awesome. Man, if you would email that to me, and I'll kind of provide that when we repost this. It'd be good for anybody watching to see it. And again, apologies in advance. I'm sure that you're going to get
No, it's all good. It's all good. Yeah. I'll shoot this over in an email to you.
I'm also going to include that you oversee 15,000 shipments a year. So
yeah, make sure to put that in bold.
Yeah, Connor wants me to
I oversee a piece of that pie. It's not 15,000.
You got to show them that you're serious about this.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, thanks again, Connor, and we'll have to do this again. And thanks again for coming on.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for doing this, guys. It's nice to answer some questions and talk a little bit more.
Yes, sir. Well, have a good one.
Yeah, have a good Wednesday. That was fun.
Yeah, another solid guest. I really appreciate how he brought a list of what would be attractive to him for somebody soliciting his business. That's great. Clint, thanks for tuning in. We appreciate you.
I think it was interesting both times because neither one of us asked Mark or Connor how many shipments they did a year, and they both just said it. And both times they said it, I was like, they're asking for more emails, but they're both so cool about it. Are kind of used to already getting it on LinkedIn. So
yeah, guess they're accustomed to the influx of calls and emails. They're better men than me because I hate the random sales calls. But yeah, another great episode that wraps up episode 5. Again, shout out to our sponsors, Sales-CRM. Guys, anybody in the market for a CRM brokerage space, these are the guys to go to. Hit up Josh Lyles. Tell them that the Dawgs sent you. Again, shout out to Trio Inc. They do all the back end stuff for our podcast, all the graphics, all that good stuff. Black Box Logistics, my company, and then HD Shipping, who Matt is an agent recruiter for.
Do you have anyone at Black Box? They're just sitting in the office right now watching the show live, or how many of your employees are watching this, you think?
Hey, Connor already has 11 emails and 6 LinkedIn messages, and we haven't ended the stream. I don't know. I don't know if anybody's watching it live because I usually shut and lock my door. I do get comments about the podcast. As far as if they're tuning in live or watching it back on Spotify or say YouTube, I couldn't say. But I think that one would comment right now if they were listening, like I'm tuned in. So I don't think anybody is. They're all busy. They're slinging freight out there.
Oh, that's good. It's a good problem to have. That's why I was curious. I was curious if you walk out there, how many of them would have it on. So
I don't know. We'll see. We're about to end it. I'm gonna walk out there real quick and see if anybody was tuned in.
all right. Well, we'll see. Are we doing a casual Friday on Friday, or are we coming back next week? We haven't really decided, I don't think.
I think to be determined. If we can get a crew together, I'd like to do it. Last week was fun. So I guess just be on the lookout for any notifications from us. If you guys aren't already, go follow LinkedIn page, 2 Dogs, 1 Pod. I think we're up on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, maybe. I don't know. We're working on it, but we'll make an announcement.
YouTube too.
Yeah,
if
YouTube.
you subscribe to us on YouTube, we're trying to build our YouTube.
Yeah, well, that'll do it. Episode 5 concluded. We'll see you guys next time.
All right. Talk to you guys soon. See you, Will.
See ya.